Hey everybody, we are recording this webinar. We are so glad to have you today. My name is Pete Blank. I'm the Training and OD Manager, Organizational Development Manager for the Personnel Board of Jefferson County. And pretty excited that we're going to share with you 7 ways to enhance your personal brand. So it's going to be a very quick, maximum 30 minutes, maybe even 25, roll through a couple things. Because I think personal branding is something that all of us can work on a little bit. Sometimes we wonder why we're not getting promoted, why we're not getting to the next level, what's happening in relationships. At the end of the day, maybe it's the way that we're viewed or the way people view us or the way that we're even carrying ourselves. So those of you who are familiar with personnel board training know that we do have a session, a day-and-a-half session on personal branding. We use the Pearson-Marr archetype indicator. We spend a whole day talking about archetypes. And I've never heard a lot of people using archetypes before. I was at a conference this past summer and someone went up and they were talking about archetypes. So it was neat to hear someone else's point of view on them. And if you're looking for a great day-and-a-half personal branding session, you can definitely come back and do that. So let's go ahead and get going. Let's get rocking and rolling and let's talk about what's coming up. Now, I've just lost my video stream for some reason, so I don't know why. So bear with me for a second. Hang on a second. All right. Hang on. Oh, I'm back. There we go. All right. That's the beauty of doing this. All right, real quick. I got to put my daughter through college, so please buy my book. It's available on my website, peteblank.com. You can also go to LinkedIn and follow me there. But I also do what do you call it? A weekly video called Pete's Points. And I want to invite you all, if you'd like to go ahead and sign up for that. Let me give you the place you can do that. You just want to text my name to 66866. And I think if you're an Impact, you may already be getting these, but if you're not getting them, go ahead and text my name, write that down real quick to 66866. We can go ahead and send that out to you as well. So, all right, let's get through some of this stuff. Let's get going, okay? So branding, all right? Y'all know that corporations do brands. Corporations have brands. Your city has a brand. The personnel board has a brand. McDonald's has a brand. Coca-Cola has a brand. And you can see this on this slide here. It talks about all the differences. So before we get into personal branding, let's take a few seconds and talk about corporate brands. And I want to talk about some of the statements that are out there regarding corporate brands. So here's some definitions. Think about this for a second. Branding is the art of aligning what you want people to think about your company with what people actually do think about your company and vice versa. But what if I replace the name company with you? So branding could be the art of aligning what you want people to think about you, what you do and what you can offer with what people actually think about you. So is your personal brand aligning there? Branding is more than just a name and a symbol, says Lisa Beyer. A brand is created and influenced by people, visual, culture, style, perception, words, messages, PR, opinions, news media, social media. But here's the question. How many of those things affect you? What is your perception? What are the opinions of you? What visuals do you put out there when you're in a staff meeting or when you're sitting in there with your body language? And what's your message out on social media? How does that affect your brand? A brand, according to Seth Godin, is the set of expectations and memories and stories and relationships that when you take them all together, they account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over the other. What if this was about personal branding? What would make one of your coworkers choose you over somebody else to be promoted? What would make your supervisor choose you to be on a certain project over somebody else? Part of it could be your brand, which is your expectations, your memories, the stories, and your relationships you have with each other. That could be part of your brand. Finally, a brand is just the essence of your own unique story. It's your story that comes together. And that's what we're going to share today. So here's the father of personal branding. His name was Tom Peters. He wrote a book way back in the 80s called In Search of Excellence. And think about this for a second. We always tell people in our training classes for personal branding, regardless of age, regardless of position, regardless of the business you happen to be in, we're all in the important role of branding ourselves. We're CEOs of our own companies, me incorporated. To be in business today, our most important job is to be the head marketer for the brand called you. It's that simple, that hard, and that inescapable. Now, this sounds very self-serving because I like to think that we all work for the betterment of the company. We work better, for the goal of the city of Birmingham or the personnel board or Jefferson County or whatever company you work in. And what this is telling us is, don't forget, got to focus on you sometimes. You got to focus on you because no one else is looking out for you. You're the CEO of your own company. So it is something to think about. We don't want to forget that because we all already have a brand. All of us already have a brand. And do you even know what that brand is? So let me launch this poll out there. And here's a question for you. I want you to kind of chime in here. The question is, how would you describe the value of your personal brand as of today? So as of today, I'm aware of my personal brand and I'm okay with it. I'm aware of my personal brand and I know there are some areas of it that I need to change. I'm aware of my personal brand and I don't like it. Or I have no idea what my personal brand is. I have no idea how people view me. So you got about maybe five more seconds. Go into some of these and just choose the one about your personal brand. Are you aware of it and okay with it? Do you feel like there's an area you might want to change? I'm aware of my brand and don't like it, or I don't even know what my personal brand is. So a couple more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Let's close that down. And let me share the results. Take a look at that. So a lot of us are aware of our personal brand, and it sounds like we don't have a lot of blind spots. There's no blind spots there. It means that a lot of you are saying, I know there's an area I need to change. I know what it is. I know how people are viewing me. And that's something that I want to work on. So that's great. So maybe that's why you're here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and share with you today 7 different ideas. Let's see if I can get this to fire up, man. 7 different ways that you can work on your personal brand. As I mentioned in the promo video, these are not based on science. These are not based on research. These are not based on anything but me sitting around going, here are some things that have probably affect people's personal brands. Here are some things that have worked for me in the past and might work for you and might not. But I was thinking about, relationship building and all that. And take some of these, take them, don't take them, run with them, don't agree, disagree, doesn't matter. Here's just 7 thoughts. And the first one's not going to be, y'all aren't going to like the first one at all. Speak at a conference, a club, or an event. Well, sure, Pete, that's easy for you. You love public speaking. And I know that. I don't mind it. But what I'm saying is there is a sense of gravitas. There is a sense of branding. There is a sense of, oh, wow, that person shared good information that comes when you present at a club or a conference or an event or whatever it may be. You don't need to go out and start becoming the best public speaker in the world. And you don't need to go out and start applying for all these conferences. What I'm saying is if someone comes to you one day and says, hey, we're looking for a speaker at our Kiwanis Club. Hey, we're looking for a speaker at our Rotary Club. These small clubs are looking for speakers every week. So maybe you have a conference you love to attend every year. Maybe if you are in IO psychology, you go to a PSYOP conference. Maybe if you're in public works, you go to a public works conference. You don't have to present a huge keynote, but can you put in and say, hey, I've got 30 minutes, 45 minutes, a poster, I want to share something. People tend to look at people who say, yeah, I went and spoke at this event last week. Yeah, this organization invited me to come in and share some information. You don't have to be the best public speaker, but that means that you get to say you spoke at these events, did these things, and it puts a certain air around your brand. That is a good thing. So, don't do this unless you practice. And if you have a lot of fear about public speaking, start small. Maybe it's even a church Sunday school class. Maybe it's at a small organization in your city, a Chamber of Commerce event where you speak for 10 or 15 minutes on the great things that are happening in your city. If you go out there and do that, take some photos, put them up, tell people I spoke at this event, that does help with your personal brand, in my opinion. Number 2, volunteer, or you'll end up being voluntold anyways in the workplace. I see this a lot. The culture, at least in local government sometimes, when people have good ideas, is they've got a great idea, but they don't speak up in the meeting to share it. Because if you speak up to share it in the meeting, what happens? Yeah, well, that's a great idea. Why don't you take it? So, there's this fear of sharing because I got too much work to do anyways. But on the other hand, when a leader, a supervisor, somebody says, hey, can I get a volunteer to go work at the expo table for an hour on Saturday? Hey, can I get a volunteer? We get this all the time here at the personnel board. I need some help moving furniture. I need 3 volunteers to help us move furniture. Hey, we need 4 volunteers for a networking class to come over and help a network for 30 minutes. When you volunteer and do things like that, you're setting up your personal brand as a person who can jump in, and as a person who sets himself apart, as a person who values others. And if we go into Robert Cialdini's The Law of Reciprocity, the reciprocity law says when you do nice things for people, they're going to eventually feel obligated to do nice things for you. So you're going to get a win-win out of it as well. But that's not the reason you do it. The reason you do it is because it affects your personal brand. You become the person. Now, be very careful with this. This can cause you stress if you're the person who says yes all the time. I'll do it. Who can volunteer? I'll do it. Who can help? I'll do it. And you do all these things, and then you're like, I'm exhausted. I don't have time to get my work done. I'm busy. So also, if you can't do it, another good way to build your brand is to talk to people and go out there and interact with your supervisor and say, hey, here's the reason that I didn't, do this. Hey, here's the reason that I didn't, connect with and say yes to this particular idea. Let them know I just got 97 things going on. I'm out of town this weekend. That may help your personal brand because that way they're looking back going, Pete never volunteers for anything. Pete never volunteers for anything. Well, you're always asking me to do stuff on a Friday at 4 and I have childcare issues. You're always asking me to do stuff on the weekends that I have my kids. So have a conversation with that person because when you become voluntold, it doesn't carry as much stuff. It doesn't carry as much weight to be voluntold. There's no branding associated with that. Jumping in and helping will help you with your personal brand. Number 3, this is one that I have to admit I don't do it anymore, and I used to, and I should do it more often. When I first started here, and I did this at Disney as well, invite new employees to lunch and pay for it. And pay for it. Okay, go ahead, put $60 in your budget mentally throughout the year. Put it in your budget. Okay. And if you work in the city of Birmingham IT, or if you work in Jefferson County Revenue, if you work for the police department out in Bessemer, and you're working and there's a brand new employee that not even in your department, you work in fire, they're in police, you work in IT, they work in testing. Someone new is there for the first 2-3 weeks, go up to them and say, hey, you're a new employee, aren't you? Let me take you to lunch. Get to know that person, learn about them, create a bond with them. And all of a sudden first of all, it's good for them. It's good for retention for your department because it makes the new employee feel like they're not just lost in the wheel. But number 2, it's good for you. Hey, you're the friendly person. You're the personal person. Pete, I'm an introvert. I can't do that. Sure you can. Sure you can. Don't make it a big meal. Just make it, let's go get a cup of coffee somewhere. Let me walk over to Edgar's and buy you, something small. Let's have a talk along the way. Building your brand as someone who cares about other people, it's the caregiver archetype, extremely successful in my mind for your personal brand. Number 4, shocking that I love this one, say hello everywhere. Everywhere. Why have we lost this skill? Why are we heads down all the time, walking around, not looking at anybody? In fact, I was talking to Michael Glaze yesterday, and he says, I take it a step further. When I get into the elevator, I face everybody. And I said, I've seen you do that. People love that. But that's his thing, so he can communicate with people, and they're like, oh. But that's part of his personal brand as well, as I'm getting to know you. We're having some laughs on the elevator, all that. You don't have to go to that extreme. But when you're walking by somebody, just say hello. Now, my daughter goes to college at the University of Alabama. And I raised her in this way. And she's an extrovert, and I know that. But the funny part of this is she's got a bunch of her best friends who are from up north. A couple are from New York, a bunch are from Chicago, a bunch are from even up in Maine. And she'll be walking across campus, and she'll see people, and she'll go, hey, hi. And they'll go, did you know them? She'll go, no. She'll be in a restaurant, and she'll see a mom with 2 little kids, and she's like, your kids are so cute. She's like, yeah, I know that. And she's like, oh. And then they'll go, did you know them? No. And they're like, why would you? Why? Why would you do that? And maybe it's a Southern thing, and maybe it's a, cultural thing, but to me, it's a personal branding thing, especially in the workplace. Especially in the workplace, to make eye contact with people, to say hello, to say good morning, to say how are you, just in passing, build your personal brand just as a friendly, relational person. And that's not going to hurt. Okay, it's not going to hurt. No one's going to say, I can't have them on my team because they say hello all the time. What will hurt you is people who say, they walk by me every day. I've walked by them for 2 years. I've been in the elevator with them. They've never even looked up. That could hurt you. So again, think of it as more of a preventive maintenance thing. If you're not into this, to say, just say hello to people and make eye contact as you're walking by. Number 5, we're rocking and rolling. Learn when to talk and when to listen. I wrote this one for myself. This is not a really, in my opinion, a trainable thing. You learn this through mistakes. You learn this through messing up time and time and time again. This is a skill set for a brand. Let's go to the extremes. The extremes are you talk all the time. So every meeting you're in, the meeting cannot end until you raise your hand and say things like, I want to tag on to that. You know what? Let me add on to what she was saying. Hey, real quick, just to piggyback on that, it's because you want to hear yourself talk and you feel like you're adding value. And there may be times that that is good. The danger in that is you become the person who is just talking just for the sake of talking. The other side of that is the listening, where you don't say anything at all. So you're in the meeting the whole time, you're nodding, you're taking notes, you're processing, doing all these things. And when people ask for your opinion, you don't share it. And they're like, well, this person doesn't, I'm not even going to ask them to be involved in everything. They don't have anything to say. Somewhere in the middle is the perfect mix. And you're only going to learn it after years and years of being in the workplace. So keep working on that skill. Extroverts really learn on when to stop talking. Introverts really work on when it is appropriate for you to speak up a lot more than you are now, because that's going to help build your personal brand. Number 6, be more flexible. Be more flexible. We have gotten to a point in our society where everybody is upset by everything. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I was in traffic. Can you believe that the restrooms are dirty? I can't believe we don't have 2-ply toilet paper. This food court we go to is terrible. How come these meetings take so long? No one's ever on time around here. Nobody likes that. We need to all be a little more flexible. I'm not saying unprofessional. I'm saying just a little more flexible. Don't get mad at every single thing that happens. Again, we are inculcating ourselves into a culture of comments on Facebook and Twitter where the only goal is to make fun of somebody, be mad at something, get upset at something. And again, that behavior becomes contagious. You need to be a little more flexible, okay? If the sanitation department didn't come pick up your trash today and they missed a day, there's no reason to go on Facebook and do a 3-page rant about how horrible they are. Does anybody else have these problems? Just see if they come the next day, call City Hall, do whatever it may be. Be a little more flexible. Bob Iger, my first Disney reference, I think, of the day. Bob Iger just recently finished his memoir, which is a fun word to say, called The Ride of a Lifetime. And I was just reading an excerpt of it today. He's the CEO of Disney. Here's what he said. He said, I was watching Steve Jobs one day, who was famously mercurial with employees. Look that word up. And he was getting older. It taught him to be careful how hard he comes to people who work for him. I get angry, he says, but I've also tried, as I've matured, to learn a lot about what matters in the world. You know, this is what Bob Iger says. Unfortunately, as you age, you start to lose people. And you think, why did I get mad at them for something so small? And Bob goes on to say, you know, I'm very organized and neat. If I got into the kitchen and my wife had been in there and left a cabinet door open, there was a time when I would actually get mad at that. You've got to be kidding me. Why would I get mad at something like that? It's pausing for a moment and thinking, does this really matter in the whole scheme of things? So this idea of just being a little more flexible with your coworkers, with the people in your life, with your spouses, with time, be a little more flexible can really set you off as having a better personal brand than someone else. Last one is, in my opinion, always do more than expected. Always do more than expected. Yes, you can do the bare minimum. Yes, you can say, I did what you asked me to do. Yes, you can say, I met the expectations that you put out there. A really strong personal brands are the people who are going to give back a little bit more, a little lagniappe, if you will, a little something extra. I talk all the time in some of my classes about Milo's. You know, Milo's is a restaurant chain here in Alabama. You know what they do when you order a single, they put a little extra piece of meat on there. It was Mr. Milo's way of rewarding all of the people who worked in the steel working industry. He had his first hamburger hot dog shop out near the steel industry and all the plants in Birmingham, and he wanted to give people a little something extra. That's the whole concept of doing more than expected. Walking around and seeing trash and picking it up. Okay, if there's a spill on your desk, you don't have to call custodial to come do that. If there's popcorn outside your office, that's spilled down, you don't got to call the custodial team. Get on out there and pick it up, sweep it up. It's the whole pick up the roach concept. Doing a little more is really, really important. So those are the 7 things. Those are the 7 ways to enhance your personal brand. Speak at an event, volunteer at work, take a new employee to lunch, say hello more, know when to talk and when to listen, show some flexibility, and then do a little something extra. So let's pull up our final poll of the day. Let me see if I can do this here. So let's talk about what you're going to work on. Which one of these 7 choices below will you begin to work on next week in order to enhance your personal brand? Which one's the easiest for you to do? Which one can you look into speaking? Can you volunteer more for projects at work? Can you invite new employees to lunch? I should say lunch, or invite them to work with you, but invite them to lunch. Say hello more than you do now. Be a little more flexible, or do a little more than expected. Go ahead and take a second and vote on this, and let me know of all these 7, because all 7 are great for building your brand, but which one do you think I could do that could make a real impact on people's lives, the people that I work with, the people that I'm there with? So be about 3 more seconds. 3 more seconds. Last chance to vote. 3, 2, 1. Ending that. Let me share the results. Take a look. Take a look. That's great. We're all over the board. Everyone's got a little different skill set. Everyone's got a little something that they want to work on. I think that's going to be something successful that will help you, again, be better. So that's all. That's really all that we have. I really hope that you enjoyed these seven ideas. Hope that they make your day a little bit better and help you to build that personal brand. I want you all to be successful. I want you all to get promoted. I want you all to accomplish what you can, but it can't be done just with the technical skills. Yes, go to conferences and learn the technical side, but it's your personal brand, the way that you're viewed, all of that ties in as well. So work on that and be as successful as you possibly can. Thanks for watching today. On behalf of the personnel board, we say thanks and have a fantastic weekend.